Imagine dancing for days without stopping. No food, no rest, no sleep. Your feet bleed, your body screams for mercy, but you cannot stop moving. Now imagine hundreds of people doing this at once, collapsing from exhaustion, some even dying on the streets. This is not fiction. This is the dancing plague of 1518, one of history's most bizarre and terrifying unsolved mysteries. In the summer of 1518, in the city of Strasbourg, then part of the Holy Roman Empire, something inexplicable happened. It began in July with a single woman named Frau Troffea. On a hot summer day, she stepped into the narrow street outside her home and began to dance. Not the joyful, celebratory kind of dancing, but a frantic, desperate movement that she could not control. She danced alone, without music, her face twisted not in pleasure, but in what witnesses described as anguish. Her husband pleaded with her to stop. Neighbors gathered, confused and concerned. But Frau Troffea kept dancing. Hour after hour, she continued. When night fell, she was still dancing. Days passed, and the horror of her situation became clear. This was not a choice. This was a compulsion she could not fight. But then, something even stranger happened. Within a week, 34 others had joined her in this manic dance. By the end of August, the number had swollen to around 400 people, all dancing uncontrollably in the streets of Strasbourg. The city descended into chaos. The dancers moved day and night, many of them screaming, begging for help, but unable to stop their bodies from moving. Their feet became bloody stumps. They collapsed from exhaustion, only to rise and continue dancing. Historical records suggest that at the peak of the plague, approximately 15 people were dying each day from strokes, heart attacks, and sheer exhaustion. Now, before we go further into this disturbing mystery, if you're fascinated by history's strangest events, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. We dive deep into the most incredible true stories that time almost forgot. Ring that notification bell so you never miss an episode. Now, what made this plague even more bewildering was the response from authorities. The city council and local physicians consulted and came to a conclusion that seems absurd by modern standards. They determined that the dancing was caused by hot blood, and the only cure was more dancing. Yes, you heard that right. Their solution to people dancing themselves to death was to encourage even more dancing. The authorities believed that if the dancers continued, they would eventually dance the fever out of their systems. So they did something unthinkable. They hired musicians and built stages. They opened guild halls to give the dancers more room. They even paid professional dancers to join in, thinking this would help cure the afflicted. Instead, it only seemed to make things worse, drawing more people into the deadly dance. So what actually caused this mass hysteria? Even today, scientists and historians debate the answer. One of the leading theories involves a condition called mass psychogenic illness, also known as mass hysteria. In times of extreme stress, fear, or trauma, groups of people can develop physical symptoms with no clear medical cause. And 1518 was a particularly stressful time to be alive in Strasbourg. The region had been devastated by famine. Diseases like smallpox and syphilis were rampant. The people lived in grinding poverty, many believing they were being punished by God. There was a widespread belief in a saint named Saint Vitus, who could curse people with a dancing plague if they angered him. Some historians believe this combination of religious fear, starvation, and psychological stress created the perfect conditions for mass hysteria to take hold. Another theory points to ergot poisoning. Ergot is a fungus that grows on grains like rye, especially in damp conditions. When consumed, it can cause convulsions, hallucinations, and spasms that might resemble dancing. Ergot poisoning, also called St. Anthony's fire, was known in medieval times and could affect entire communities who ate contaminated bread. However, this theory has significant problems. Ergot poisoning typically causes violent convulsions, not coordinated dancing movements. It also usually results in constricted blood vessels and gangrene, symptoms not reported during the 1518 outbreak. Most compellingly, the dancing in Strasbourg lasted for weeks, while ergot poisoning symptoms usually resolve within days. The mass hysteria theory remains the most widely accepted explanation among modern researchers. The dancing plague of 1518 was not an isolated incident. Similar outbreaks occurred throughout medieval Europe. In 1374, thousands of people danced through the streets of Aachen, Germany, and then spread to other towns. There are records of dancing manias in Switzerland, Italy, and the Netherlands. But the 1518 Strasbourg outbreak remains the best documented and most deadly. What finally ended the dancing plague? By early September, the city authorities changed their approach. They banned public dancing entirely and removed the stages and musicians. They took the dancers to a mountaintop shrine dedicated to Saint Vitus, where they prayed for healing. Whether through divine intervention, the power of belief, or simply exhaustion running its course, the dancing gradually stopped. The streets of Strasbourg returned to normal, but the memory of those terrible weeks lingered. The dancing plague of 1518 reminds us how much we still don't understand about the human mind and the power of collective belief. It shows us how fear, stress, and suffering can manifest in the most unexpected and terrifying ways. In our modern world of science and reason, it's easy to dismiss such events as primitive superstition. But mass psychogenic illnesses still occur today, reminding us that the line between mind and body, between individual and group consciousness, remains mysterious. If this journey into one of history's darkest mysteries fascinated you, don't forget to leave a like and share this video with anyone who loves bizarre historical tales. Subscribe for more incredible true stories from the past that will make you question everything you thought you knew. What other historical mysteries should we explore next? Drop your suggestions in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and remember, truth is often stranger than fiction.